everybody, how y'all doing? Pretty good here, and welcome to the channel. Hey, today I want to get on here and talk about buying a used Tundra, specifically what you should not buy. If you're looking for a used Tundra, stay away from this year, and I'll tell you why. Okay, here we go. What I've got, I did a little bit of research on the web, because for a while there, I was in the market for a used Tundra myself. I thought about getting maybe an older one for the channel or something like that, right? So I did a little bit of research. Now, the worst year for the Toyota Tundra is the 2007. The 2007. Now, this is kind of separated into two different things. I did not look at the National Highway Traffic Safety admin numbers. They were quite high. So far, there are 431 complaints by the NHTSA, the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. It's a long name. We're not going to talk about those. We're going to talk about the complaints that the consumer has made. The things that they say are wrong. The people who actually own the trucks, not the testing stuff. So, we're going to go over the top 5 for 2007 and the components of those, and then we'll take a quick look at 2018, 2019. So, number 5, there were 6 reported drivetrain problems. And what makes up that 6? There were 3 complaints that it jolted when coming to a stop. That's not fun. There was 1 axle bearing complaint, 1 CV axle failure, and 1 thumping noise in the front. Now, that thumping noise, I believe, is the ABS test. I've had 2 Tundras. One was a 2018, this is a 2019. They both do it. Now, if you know what I'm talking about, when you first start the truck up and you drive off real slow and you go to turn, you'll feel a little bit of a thump. I've had it in both, and I've been told that's the ABS diagnostics, the ABS system testing itself. So I think it's still there. Not really a problem, I don't think. But why do you have to feel it? I don't know. Next, number 4, fuel system problems. There were 7 complaints, 6 of which were charcoal canister contamination. That the charcoal canister is contaminated. And then 1, and I don't even know why this is a complaint, to be honest, poor fuel mileage. I don't think that's changed, but somebody stated they have poor gas mileage. I don't know. Number 3, working our way towards the number 1. Interior accessory problems. There were 8 complaints. 5 radio and clock malfunctions. You're jamming out to your favorite tune and then something goes wrong. 1 cruise control not working. That's a drag. Of course, I never use it. 1 gas gauge doesn't read correctly. That can put you in a bind if you run out and it says you're half full. And 1 warning light failure. Now, we're to number 2. The second most category of complaints was body and paint problems. There were 9 complaints. 3, that the paint is dull and fading. Kind of depends on where you live. If you live in a climate like I live in, or maybe in Florida where it's sunny all the time and it's constantly beating down on your truck and you leave it outside, it'll dull and it'll fade pretty quick. There were 3 complaints with that. There were 2 paint bubbling and chipping complaints. Again, could be dependent upon the climate you live in, but nonetheless, 2 paint and bubbling and chipping complaints. 1 excessive rust. Could that be that frame issue? I don't know. Excessive rust. 1 extremely weak tailgate. Now, this is going to get interesting in a minute, so bear with me. 1 rusting on the front bumper. Now, that was reported separate from the excessive rust. So 2 rust issues. Now, this next one, and this is interesting because I've heard this on the F-150 and the Tacoma before. Or the Ram, I'm sorry, not the F-150, the Ram Rebel and the Tacoma. And that is tailgate bent in the middle. In other words, some big burly behemoth of a guy got up on that tailgate, jumped on it in the middle, and it made a V. It made a V, I guess. That's a bummer. I have heard that those tailgates, because if you've ever taken the cover off, there isn't much under there. I could see that happening. especially if you throw or drop some kind of a really heavy load. Well, apparently it happened and somebody complained about it. Now, we're to number one. Number one, engine problems. Probably the most important part of any vehicle, right? 20 engine problem complaints against the 2007 Tundra. There were 5 air injection pump failures, 5 knocking or piston slap when cold problems, 5 secondary air pumps sticking. They got stuck. That's a drag. 1 air valve in the intake sticks. If it can't get any air, it's going to have a problem running. Just saying. Might affect your fuel economy too. Definitely your power. 1 check engine light on. I wish there was a little more detail on that one, because that was indicative of something else. That was your warning light telling you something was wrong. Let's see. 1 stalls when driving. Now that could be a big problem, especially if you're on the freeway or you're, trying to merge into traffic, or who knows. Stalls when driving. 1 sudden unintended acceleration. Now, maybe that was just somebody who had a problem, rear-ended somebody and said, I'm going to make this complaint. I don't know, but somebody reported a sudden unintended acceleration. Obviously, that's a safety problem. If you're sitting at a stoplight and it turns green, hopefully it turns green, and you suddenly accelerate, you could have a problem. 1 water pump stopped working. Now, interestingly, I have heard complaints about water pumps in the Tundra and the alternator. That's a bummer. Those were 20 of the biggest reported problems with the 2007 Tundra. Now, let's take a look at the 2018, because that's the most model year, really, that we have a lot of history on, let's say. We'll get to the 2019 in a minute. Now, we're only going to look at the top 4 because there were only 4 categories reported by consumers. Number 4 was seatbelts and airbag problems. There was 1 complaint in that category, and that 1 complaint is rodents eating the airbags. I'm not quite sure how rodents even get to the airbags, to be quite honest. I mean, I can see them chewing the wiring, but how does a rodent get to your airbag? You ever looked at where the airbags are? I don't know. I'm thinking that's probably more wiring than an airbag problem. Number 3, the next category, there was 1 complaint. This is exhaust system problems, and the complaint was persistent rattle. So that's obviously coming from underneath the truck. Either it was a bad clamp or a bad hanger, something like that. Maybe something broke loose, the baffles in the exhaust, in the muffler. I don't know, but 1 persistent rattle. Number 2, interior accessory problem. 1 instance, a rattling noise from the dash. That's kind of the luck of the draw, unfortunately. There's so much junk back there that if they don't put the foam in the right place or tie the wiring down at the right spot, you can get rattling, and it sucks. It sucks when you have rattling in your dash. It drives you nuts. The number 1 category for 2018, and there were 2 instances. Brake problems. Getting kind of important now, because you got to be able to stop, right? 2 brake system warning lights. So it doesn't say there was an all-out failure. They just got a warning that there was some kind of an issue with the brakes. All in all, not really too bad. I mean, that's 2, 3, 4, 5 customer complaints. Not too bad, not too bad. Now, 2019. Now, this is kind of interesting. They haven't been out for too long, so take a little bit of a look. There were no, so far I should say, there are no reported consumer complaints. That's good to know. So the owners aren't complaining about anything. Now, there are some with the NHTSA, but that's from their own testing and the things that they determine are wrong upon their testing. I don't know. So anyway, that's just a quick look at the model year. If you're looking for a used Tundra, you should stay away from 2007. Not a pretty year for the Tundra, and I definitely would be very hesitant, even if you get a really good deal, there's probably a reason for that, to buy that 2007 Tundra. So That's what I found. Just want to get on here, let you guys know in case there's anybody like I was potentially considering buying a used Tundra. Stay away from 2007. You might have a problem. Leave a comment down below if you own a 2007. You ever had any of these problems? What do you think of it? How's it doing for you? Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on the web. Have a great day. Bye.